If you're 50 and above and feel lost financially, this is for you. This session is for you. And the reason I'm doing this is that literally every day, I have people in their 50s and some in their early 60s who constantly say to me, oh, I'm messed up. I feel financially lost. I hear you. I've been following your channel, but I feel hopeless. I feel it is too late for me at 50 to ever turn things around. So there are many people like that. And I just want to tell you tonight that after this session, you will not only understand that it is not too late, you will actually see that it is the best time. You are in the best phase of your life to become financially successful, to pursue your purpose and other things that are dear to your heart. And I would like to start by telling you a really very personal story of financial reversal. When I finished my youth service, for those of you who are non-Nigerians, there's a mandatory 1-year government service that every Nigerian graduate by law is expected to go through. 1 year of serving, as it were, serving the country in some capacity. And I did that in 1988. I graduated in 1988 and did my youth service, completed my youth service in 1989. I served in Maiduguri, that is what is now Borno State. And then many of you hear the stories of Boko Haram and all that in that Maiduguri. That was the very city that I did my youth service. And of course, as at that time, 1988, 1989, it was such a beautiful Maiduguri, was such a beautiful, beautiful place, beautiful city. In fact, you go to Maiduguri, you wouldn't want to leave Maiduguri. And that, but now it's a totally different story. Anyway, so I did my youth service. I taught at the University of Maiduguri in the biological sciences. Now, when I came down to Lagos, there was no place for me to stay. There was no job. The only option available at the time was for me to squat with some illiterate traders in the slum, one of the most popular slums in the world. It's called Makoko. Now, I don't know how to describe that experience for you. Living in Makoko with a group of illiterates. We were like 6, 7 people sharing one room. That room was very dingy. It was not well lit. And because it was literally beside the lagoon, there was this stench, probably hydrogen sulfide or something, that constantly oozed. I mean, we lived in that stench. And then in the morning, they would let me sleep in the bed, others slept on the floor. So sometimes you wake up in the morning and then the whole floor is drenched with water. Then the mosquitoes in Makoko at that time, 1989, I don't think it's the same mosquitoes you have there today. The mosquitoes in Makoko were extremely wicked. I've never experienced such wicked mosquitoes anywhere in the world, and I've traveled some bit. These mosquitoes, it doesn't matter if you put blankets over yourself. If you put blankets over you, they found a way of penetrating that blanket. They got you. They got you. Now, not just that, they will find a way to penetrate to get you. When they draw blood, just one draw of blood, they've removed 1.5 liters of blood from your body. Those mosquitoes were horrible. Now, I don't even want to talk about the rats I saw in Makoko. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a joke. What I'm about to tell you now about the rats in Makoko in those days, I'm not exaggerating. Guys, I saw a mouse pursuing a rat in Makoko. For the first time, I haven't seen it anywhere else. That mouse was so big, huge. And I think it startled the rat because it startled the cat because the cat had never seen that sort of thing all its life. So this massive rat, I saw it coming from the gutter and the cat picked race. I've never forgotten that experience. 1989. That was where I started. Now, if that experience was just 1 week or 1 month, you could say, but 1989, I didn't get a job. 1990, I did not get a job. I had no job. 1991, the entire 1991, I also didn't get a job. It was in December that I now got my first job. And guess what my first job was? I worked as a youth leader for the SOS Children's Village in Isolo in Lagos. And then some of you may have heard about SOS Children's Village. It is a community, it's an organization that caters for abandoned children. And then one unique thing about SOS Children's Village, it started somewhere around after the Second World War. And one unique thing about them is that they will put the children, they will simulate as much as possible the family environment for the children. So there's a village father. We had a village father at that time, Mr. Adetola, my friend. And then we had village mothers. So the children were put in houses, in homes with mothers who took care of them. So now, at that time, in 1991, the first set of children who had become young adults needed to leave the village and be resettled and integrated into society. And they needed somebody. So someone recommended me. That's how I became the very first youth leader in Nigeria for the SOS Children's Village. So I did that job. If you call it a job, I loved the job with passion. But I was paid, if you call that salary, 300 naira a month. You may say, okay, but 300 naira was something at that time. But let me give you a context. My colleagues, people I graduated with, who worked in Athwanda Sen, I think it's called Accenture now, who worked in the merchant banks at that time. Merchant bank was a thing at that time in 1991, 1990. Now, those guys were earning 70,000 naira, and I was earning 300. So there was a lot of financial difficulty living in the slum. I don't think that many of you, there's an African proverb that says that it's only the grave. No. It's only the coffin. Sorry, it's only the corpse that understands the torment of the grave. You know what it means to wake up every morning in the slum? And then the funny thing about, it's not funny actually, in that slum, it was noisy. There was always a quarrel. There was always somebody breaking bottle on somebody's head. There were always all kinds of stories about people molesting children, girl children, and all kinds of things. And then, because that was the first place I literally stayed in Lagos, the first Yoruba words I learned were in Makoko. And you can imagine if you live in Makoko, the kind of words you will hear. The very first word I learned, Yoruba word I learned was were. It was so common. Mothers will wake up in the morning and then you hear them shouting at their children, were, won't you get ready for school? Then you see a woman will shout at her husband, were, won't you, so everybody, then you see friends, two guys in the streets, they hug each other, they slap their hands together, and then they call each other, were. So I thought it was such a noble word until I actually understood what were meant. But it was so common in Makoko, and such languages. So here was a young graduate, with a university degree. I couldn't feed myself. I was living at the mercy of those illiterates, and they were actually running it down my throat that I went to school. Shay, you said you will go to university. Yeah, we came to trade. Now we have money. You finish university and all that, and you don't have money, and then you want us to feed you. So I went hungry. I couldn't afford clothes, and I'm telling you all this person. So because many of you see me here, you think I just woke up one day and became all of this. There's a history to it, and it was rough. I didn't have clothes. Who was talking about clothes when you don't even have food to eat? I trekked around the streets of Lagos writing applications. In those days, you write applications, you use what they call foolscap. Many of you in this age, you don't know what they call foolscap paper. And then we had a way you wrote applications. I must have written up to 150 to 200 applications, walking around the streets of Lagos with a shoe that was torn. The sole was torn. So anytime, imagine the dirty water of Makoko. Anytime it rained, and I was wearing that shoe, all that dirty water on the street got into my stocking. So I will go back and then, wash, dry it, put it on the next day. That's where I came from. That's where I came from. But, and this is where I'm going. This is where I want you to pay attention. If you are 50 and above, or you are in your 30s, or even in your late 20s, and you can't find your feet financially, you've got to be just listen to like I said, this is for you. And you got to pay attention, because what I'm going to tell you, the principles I'm going to tell you have never changed. We never change. And if you don't practice these principles, it's even going to be worse for you in this generation, where there's so much social comparison. Everybody wanting to outcompete the other on social media. Everybody, my car is better than your car. My husband is richer than your husband. My children are more intelligent in school than your children. So it's a horrible setup that we find ourselves now. And so if you don't pay attention to what I'm going to say, it's going to be even worse for you. Okay. The key to what I'm sharing with you tonight, if you're struggling financially, especially if you're in your 50s, and I'm saying it because every day, people in their 50s, is there still hope for me? Yes. So when I was in that very hopeless situation, what did I do? The first thing I did, what set me free was reading. Let me just put it out there. In fact, that's the first time I'm asking you to type something in the comment section. Type reading. Reading. Type reading in the comment section. Reading, reading, reading. Reading changes your life. Reading changes your life. Watching TV will not change your life. I'm telling you. Watching Netflix does not change your life. It drains your wallet. Even the money that you don't have. Reading is a gift of the gods. Reading is... So, you know what reading did for me? And I'll tell you the books I read. I'll tell you the kind of books I read when I was in that situation. Fortunately for me, I didn't have a job. I didn't have money to eat. It was a wretched time. But there was a secret place, a secret facility that I used to run to and hide myself. That facility was called library. Library. Oh, that this generation will rediscover library. So in those days, we had these national libraries. I don't know whether the government of this country still has those libraries, but those libraries were powerful. They changed lives. Those libraries kept the youth from crime. Because I used to see people, who were also like me. We will go to that library. It was at Alagomeji. For those of you who know the Makoko slum, if you just come out of Makoko, the Makoko, in fact, what Makoko is today, Makoko is New York today, compared to what it was in 1989, 1990, when I was in Makoko, when I was living in the slum. Makoko is New York today. So if you're coming out of Makoko into Herbert Macaulay and you make a right, If you make a left, you are heading to Oyibo or you're heading to Victoria Island. But if you make a right and even walk like a 5 to 7 minute walk, you will get to, there was a national library at Alagomeji at that time. This was where, if I didn't have food to eat, I didn't have money for transportation, I will walk from Makoko to that library. And I had a note. I will devour books. I will read books. I went to all shelves. I will read books. I will read history. I will read literature. I will read anything around economics and business. I read like crazy. I made notes. Now, what did it do for me? What reading did for me was, it was showing me the kingdoms and possibilities that there were. These things were getting into my imagination, forming pictures, and I was building kingdoms in my imagination. I was building experiences in my imagination. It was from Makoko that I dreamt of traveling around the world. I would see myself in the UK. I would see myself traveling around Europe. I would see myself in America. I would see myself in different countries of Africa in my imagination, which was nourished by the reading, by the things I was reading. So let me tell you, in fact, some of the books that impacted me strongly. I had to make my children, my family, my wife and my children, everybody read that book. I bought a copy for everybody, each of that book, because that book, written by John Maxwell. In fact, there were two books written by John Maxwell that I encountered in 1989, 1990 that changed everything. In fact, I dare say that if I didn't read those two books, I wouldn't be here talking to you tonight. Because there were all kinds of trappings in the slum. There were all kinds of trappings. That's another powerful thing about reading. There were the trappings of young girls. If you've lived in the slum before, you know. You know, there were trappings of girls. Some of them will smoke. Some of them, you know, they smoke. And then I won't even tell you what one girl approached me and said in those days. So some of you are talking about some of these funny things that people do now. They talk about giving a head or something, you know the language here. I discovered that it didn't start today. It's when I heard about, I saw young people talking about giving head, and then, because I lead some young people in Bible study. And then I was able to figure out what they were saying. Then I remembered how this girl approached me. And apparently she was drunk. And she said she wanted to give it to me. I should just give her a certain amount of money. She was, those were the trappings of the slum. And I still remember one girl I so liked her. She used to distract me a lot. Fatima. I don't know where you are now, Fatima. Little girl at the time. So the trappings were there. And if I had been trapped, maybe by Fatima or by this one who wanted to give me a head, and I'd been trapped, I won't be here today. I probably, by the time I knew it, I would have had 1 or 2 babies outside of marriage with Fatima. And then, of course, I won't be here talking to you today. But you see, so there were the trappings of women, there were the trappings of alcohol and all kinds of substances that people smoked in Makoko. In fact, I remember in those days, Makoko had no day or night. I still remember the kinds of music, because by midnight, by 1 a.m., by 2 a.m., you'll be hearing music and partying. A particular one was Shino Peters. Shino Peter. Throughout the night. I just wake up with it. So there were the trappings of partying, of drinking. There were the trappings of girls. There were the trappings of drugs in that slum. What saved me? Not just the number one, actually, is the values, the parental values with which I was raised. I was raised by a very godly man and woman. So I had my values, even though I was away from the village and away from my parents and from my family. I had those values. But one practical thing that saved me was reading. Because I was reading, growing my imagination. So all those things didn't appeal to me as much as the world I found myself, in the world of reading and the transformation that reading was giving me. Now, the best part. So, Makoko, my body was in Makoko, but my mind and my spirit were flying around America, Europe, Australia, South Africa, all these places in Africa. And ladies and gentlemen, it was just a matter of time, and my body left Makoko and then met my spirit and my mind in all those dreams and imaginations that I had. And when I now started traveling to the United States, so lots of things, that's going to be a story for another day. How I now got married later, how I went for postgraduate program, and how I got employed in Shell at the time that Abacha wasn't allowing companies to employ. And I got employed in Shell, and then the world opened. First place I went, first place I ever traveled to, Italy, Sardinia in Italy. Oh my goodness. And since that time, so all those places I used to see in the slum, I used to see myself in Italy, in Germany, in the UK, in America. I've been to all those places. I've been to all those places. And I can go there today, anytime I want. But it started in the slum, where my body was in the slum, but I did not allow my mind to dwell in the slum. Slum. I did not allow my spirit to dwell in the slum. So even though I was there, I knew that it was temporary, because I kept telling myself, oh boy, you don't belong here. I looked at the people around, I look at the culture, I look at the things going on. And I would tell myself, I'll be lying down in that place with those mosquitoes sucking liters of blood, from my body, with those rats pursuing cats, with the smell, sulfur, hydrogen sulfide, oozing from the lagoon, which was also where we used to do our big job, because there were no toilets, there was no water, whatever. Everybody did it inside. You just go inside that makeshift, get there, and then the thing enters water, and then you clean, drop the thing in the same water. I don't know whether we should be eating fish, from that lagoon. I don't know. That was where it started. That was where it started, for me. So now you are in your 50s and you are struggling, or maybe in your 20s or 30s and you are struggling, and you are thinking, is there hope for me? Yes. As at that time I was there was no hope for me. Physically speaking, there was no hope for me. I was finished. I didn't come from like a well-known family. I didn't come from a rich family. We were not poor. Well, because my father and my mother did extremely well. We were not poor. We didn't lack anything. But I finished university and I needed to start life on my own. So I left the village and came here. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any politician. Today, you see, young people will tell you, oh, man, no, man, you must know somebody. If you don't know anybody, forget it. Who told you? And then you make that a belief system. You make it a stronghold in your mind. Oh, things will never work because I don't know anybody in the political, I don't know any big guy, big man. What I've discovered about knowing people is that you grow up to it, to those people knowing you. Seest thou a man who is diligent, in his skill, in his whatever. He said he shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men. So here is, from my Makoko story, here is what to learn. Feed your mind with pictures. Feed your mind with words and texts that align with who you are, and where you are going. It's not everything written on social media that you read. It's not everybody you follow because they are celebrity. It's not every gist that you read. I don't read those things. I don't read I don't read newspapers. It's been a long time I read papers. I don't read newspapers. I don't have a television. I don't watch. Even when I go where there's television, I don't. Because I've trained my mind just to be able to receive the kind of information aligned with my destiny. Because how can you want to be a noble person, but every day you are consuming dirty stuff, dirty jokes, dirty comedies, and then you want to be rich? What you put in here is what you are going to get. And the life I'm living now, I put it in there through meditation in scripture, through reading these books I'm telling you about. I formed in my imagination the life that God wanted me to live. I formed in my imagination the kind of girl, the specific kind of woman that I wanted to make a family with. And I'm telling you, when I saw her, I did not pray. I did not fast, nothing, no special prayer. But the day I saw that girl, I didn't even know her name. The day I saw her, I knew that she was going to be my wife. This year, we've been married for 30 years. Why? Because I've trained my mind to be focused on assimilating only information. Look at these things behind me. They are not jokes. And when, so I'm not rich. Because people ask, are you a millionaire? I'm not rich by your definition of rich. But guys, I'm wealthy. Not because of money. But look behind you. Solomon said that when knowledge enters your heart, it's going to be sweet. There's a level of knowledge and wisdom that you consume, and you're not afraid of the economy. You're not afraid of anything. You're not afraid of anybody. It's some kind of knowledge you consume. It gives you such confidence that nothing scares you. Because there's nothing the world is going through today that it has not gone through before. There's nothing you are going through in your life right now that somebody has not gone through and written about it. But the thing is, will you open the books? Will you open books? You are just one book away, just one book, and you don't know which book it is. That's why you continue to read. Books have changed me. All right. So I talked about the 2 books written by John Maxwell that I read that changed my life. The first one was You Can Be All You Can Be. Be All You Can Be, or something like that. You can check it. It's on Amazon. Powerful book. I read it so many times. I consumed that book so many times. In 1990, 89, 90, 91. I don't know how many times I read that book. Then I saw another one, Your Attitude, Key to Success. Those 2 books, if I'm attributing any book to what took me out of Makoko, is those 2 books. There are books you cannot read and remain the same. And so, of course, later there were other books. Of course, the Bible is number 1. Because the Bible, to me, is not a religious book. A lot of you call it a religious book, but that's a subject to another one. This book is the one that this book has all the things you need to live successfully here on earth and to live peacefully with yourself, with other people, and with God. And it guides me. So that's actually number 1. Then, Be All You Can Be by John Maxwell. Then, Your Attitude, Key to Success. That book, every child should be made to read that. If your parents find that book, Your Attitude, Key to Success, every child should be made to read that book. Every student in primary, secondary school, and university should read that book. It changed everything about me. So, start from there. Start from purifying the kind of information, things you feed your mind. Because the things you feed your mind produce the pictures. And then the pictures in your mind will determine the direction. That's why it's so extremely dangerous to continue consuming, sexual content. Particularly that Because I've been there, so I can tell you. Once you get into all these pornographic things and all that, you will see that it consumes your bandwidth. It consumes like 98%. When you're thinking about that, and that is what you're watching in the night, watching in the day, it consumes your heart, it consumes your mental bandwidth. And so, because when such images, you fill your mind with such images, and then you store those images on your phone, and then you always see them when you want to see them. You've bookmarked websites when you're alone in the evening or in the night or in a hotel or something. You go to all those bookmarks. How do you usually feel after that? Yeah, how do you usually feel after that? And then, so how can you, when you're violating your mind with such filth on a daily basis, how can you expect to be successful? And then you might say, okay, but there's this senator, there's this governor, he's into it too, but he's successful. Who told you? So it depends on what you call success. But my success is, I have peace. First of all, with myself, I have peace with my neighbors. I'm not, and then I have peace with God, and I have peace in my family, in my home. I have a wonderful, wonderful woman as wife of 30 years. And then we raise godly children. That's number one success. Because look, if I have $1 billion in asset and my children are lost, they are smoking weed, lost, that's not success to me. But many of you will call that success as long as the money is there, but it's not success. And when you get there, you think, oh, just give me the money, don't worry. If my children become wayward or things like that. But then when you realize that is at the point you're leaving this world, you realize that what you call success wasn't success. Okay, so from this night, be very intentional about the books you read, about the people you follow online, about the programs you watch on television. If I'm in your position, I'm 50 or over 50, and you don't have financial success or financial peace yet, you have no business with television. You have no business with television. So the funny thing I've discovered about television is that those who need to watch television don't watch it. But those who shouldn't watch television are the ones watching it. But those, they've made it as it were in life, they're accomplishing, doing incredible things. They're the ones you will think should watch television. But they don't. Those who should, like I don't watch television. But those who shouldn't watch are the ones watching themselves into poverty. Can you imagine that time you use to watch 2 episodes of Netflix? Can you imagine what will happen if you read, let me just touch any book, let me not look and just touch any book and bring it. Can you imagine if you spend the 3 hours or 6 hours you plan to spend on Netflix this evening reading this book, The Ultimate Sales Toolkit? If you invest that time, you want to watch Nollywood movie. These Nollywood movies, they do part 1. They say part 1 ended, wait for part 2. And then they will usually say glory be to God or something. Part 2 is following. And then before you know it, you've burned 6 hours watching useless script. At the end of it, you're so empty. It didn't do anything for you. It didn't teach you sales. It didn't teach you how to increase your bank account. It didn't teach you how to run your business successfully. It didn't teach you how to invest in the stock market. It didn't teach you any of these things. Just entertainment. What are you entertaining yourself for? Why do you think you have right to entertainment when you are still struggling financially? You can't feed your family. You're not living in your own house. So what are you entertaining yourself for? Then, for those of us who are 50 and above, let me give you some 3 practical things. And then we'll round off tonight. So let me give you some 3 practical ideas, things you can start doing. Because I really want you to understand that 50 is not your full stop. Okay, it's your second sentence, and this time you're writing it with wisdom. You are not too late at all. And 50 is not your downfall, it's your filter. It removes the fluff and leaves you with focus. Because if you think about it, at 25, you had energy, but no clarity. I remember me at 25. I had energy, but no clarity. I remember the things I wanted to do. I used to say I wanted to be this kind of a person in the world. I wanted to single-handedly reach the world. Reach the unreached people, like we used to say in those days. I wanted to single-handedly reach 4 billion unreached people in there. There was no clarity at 25, but I had energy. At 35, you had ambition, but you had too many distractions. Distractions of friends, distractions of politics, distractions of work, distractions of, family, and all kinds of things. But you see, now at 50, you've got scars. You've got scars. I have scars. I have scars. I look back at my 50-something, I have scars. In fact, there's a group I'm going to talk to tomorrow morning. And I'm going to talk about healing emotional wounds, because many of us are carrying emotional wounds. And those wounds come in different places. Father wounds, relationship hurts, divorce, all kinds of wounds. You've got scars to show at 50. But you see, you also have strategy. That's different. That's why you cannot begin to chase money in your 50s. The way people in their 20s are chasing money. So, at 25, you wanted speed, but at 50, you need accuracy. That's like a mic drop. Please, somebody type it in the comment section. At 25, you wanted speed. At 50, you need accuracy. What you need in your 50s and in your 60s is not speed, though. Like we say in Nigeria, speed, though. That's not what you need. You need accuracy. You know why? Because I meet every day, including this evening. A 60-year-old was still asking, oh, there's this kind of investment. Should I do it? And then you find investments that come, oh, okay, bring in 10 million. And then every month we will give you 30%. If you're 25, okay. But at 55, you're putting your hand in speed. You're putting your hand in something, you give somebody 10 million. Then every month they will give you 30%. Ole. It doesn't work like that. Ole. Not you are not the Ole. The Ole is the person giving you that promise. And so if you don't realize that you need accuracy, not speed, you fall into such things. And then you find that since you were in your 30s, you've been losing money to scams, to fraud, to money scams, investment scams. And then now you're in your 50s, you're still putting hand in those things. So you can't do that. Okay? So in your 50s, you don't make money from hustle. You make money from wisdom. So instead of asking, what can I do? You should start asking, what do I know that can pay me? What do I know that can pay me? So let me give you 3 steps. Step number 1, if you're over 50 and struggling financially, you've lost your way, you don't know. Step number 1, monetize your experience, not your age. Please type it in the comment section. It's a coaching session. Monetize your experience, not your age. Okay? Monetize your experience, not your age. So you have something younger folks need, your lived experience. So package that into a small consulting service, package it into a mentorship group. There are lots of people, looking for mentorship and in their finances, looking for mentorship in their career, looking for mentorship in their marriage. That's a big one. Because that's a big one. Because marriages don't last 1 week these days. It's scary. People get married, they do all these very big ceremonies in Dubai. They fly their friends everywhere, and then 3 months you heard, they are filing for divorce. And then they spent 1 billion on wedding. So there are people like that. You could you could mentor, package into a mentorship group. So the money is not in your youth, the money is in your story. So write down, as a sort of practical action, write down 3 things you have survived or solved. What are 3 things you've survived or solved? Maybe you survived a bad marriage, you survived the divorce, you survived debt. If I tell you the number of people in debt, if I go to speak somewhere and there are 100 people in the room and ask how many people are in debt, I won't be surprised, sometimes 80 people, 85 people are in debt. And debt is a terrible slavery. And debt, because I've been in debt. I've owed 4 financial institutions before. And they pursued the hell after me every day on phone coming to my house. One of them repossessed my car, my brand new vehicle, SUV, Nissan Armada. And they still came after me after they collected my car. So I know what it is. So if you have survived something like that, guys, there are tens of millions of people in the world that you can serve. So that is one clue to your new stream of income. Step number 2, switch from seeking jobs to creating daily value. What job are you looking for at 55? You're 58, you're going to look for a job. You're struggling with your grandchildren, to look for a job. No, you're better than that. Stop job hunting at 58. Stop job hunting. Start problem solving. I've told you that problems are receipts. Problems are receipts. They're your money receipts. Okay? So solve problems. People don't pay age. They pay usefulness. So don't stop going around, looking for sympathy or something. You're 57 or something. That's not, like they will say in Lagos, who 57 ep? We don't care you're 57. They don't pay for your being 57. They pay for usefulness. And then usefulness does not expire. It does not expire. There are 65-year-olds who are extremely useful. 65-year-old women who are impacting continents, impacting lives, who are solving problems around the trafficking, girl trafficking and all that. Solving those problems around the world. I've met some of people like that. Okay? So when you stop looking for a boss and start looking for someone to serve, money finds you faster. Okay. Step number 3, digitize yourself fast. So you can no longer afford to be tech timid. Because many of us in our 40s and 50s are tech timid. We are still calling our children, what's the name of your baby or your child? You're still calling your 12-year, 13-year-old, and you're calling her, Kemi, please come and open my YouTube channel. To open YouTube channel for you, leave Kemi alone. Do it. Don't be tech timid. There are some of us 40s, 50s, 60s. We can't. You say open Telegram. They can't open Telegram group. They can't comment. They don't know. What? Stop it. Digitize yourself. Because if you remain analog in a digital world, then it makes you look like you're a dinosaur. You're not a dinosaur just because you're in your 50s or 60s. I'm 59, going to be 60 in a couple of months. And there's nothing you can. There's no tech that a 59 or 60-year-old cannot do. Because I'm into it. I do AI. I do YouTube. I do all kinds of things. Sales funnel. I shoot videos. I edit videos. I do things. So you can no longer afford to be tech timid. At 50, internet is not optional. It's your oxygen. Get to that fact, because for many of us in our 50s, the only thing holding us back is this tech timidity. You see moms, 45-year-old mom, 48-year-old mom, she can't open her email. She will call the child, come and open mail. The other one, I need to turn off my camera in Zoom. Please come and show me how to turn off my camera in Zoom. told you you can't do Zoom, you can't use Zoom, all these simple tools. Get familiar with them. Okay? So learn how to receive money online. That's an important part. Learn how to record short videos. Learn how to sell from your phone. At 50, you can do that. Okay? So fear of technology is financial suicide in 2025. That's another mic drop. So get online or get left behind. So pick one platform. It could be YouTube, it could be WhatsApp, master it. It could be Facebook, master it. Learn how to sell, learn how to serve on those platforms, and teach on it. Okay, because at this time, you can make a lot of money teaching what you already know. So let me say this again, ladies and gentlemen. So whether you're 50 plus or you are younger, it doesn't matter. You are not a failure. You are a seed that didn't get watered early, but you can still bloom. So anytime you feel discouraged, remember me. Remember me in Makoko. Anytime you feel discouraged, remember me in Makoko. Remember the story I just told you. So anytime you see me, don't just think, I just woke up and then I was like this. No, I was in Makoko. And that's just one of the so many scars. And I'll be telling you my stories, okay? So now, I want to reiterate, because many of you understandably feel overwhelmed. You know, you have so much information all over the web. You have so much information on LinkedIn, YouTube, everywhere. But the problem is that where do you actually start? I know a lot of people have that problem. Okay, I've heard all these things. I hear about stock market. I hear about crypto, forex. I hear about all these things, real estate. The thing is, you know, it's overwhelming information. Where do I start? So if you are the kind of person, if you're the person asking that question, join the Financial Fitness Challenge. That is where to start. The offer I give in the Financial Fitness Challenge, I dare you to find it anywhere else. You can't find it anywhere else. Where you just pay an equivalent of lunch money. Lunch money. Because I took a friend, that was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I took a friend, you know, he flew into Lagos, and I took him to somewhere for coffee, and then a little bit of what do they call it? Not patisserie or something, just something he ordered, and then pineapple juice, fresh pineapple juice with ginger, a tinge of ginger in it. When we finished and they brought bill, at that 4 years ago, 75,000 naira. 4 years ago. I said, what? So for just lunch, so you can imagine you drank coffee and it's 75,000. So you can imagine if you now eat there. Which reminds me of a very, very funny story. So a gentleman was, he just found himself, he's a wannabe. Okay? He's one of these people that, you know, have understood the value of window shopping, even when you don't have it. So he went shopping in this diamond, you know, this very expensive jewelry store. And when he got there, he was going around, you know, looking at the different items and all that, really beautiful items. And of course, in such luxury stores, you don't see prices. You just pick what you want and then take to the counter, and then they'll just say, bring your card. Whatever they take from your card is their business. It's not your business. So this guy, now this one of me, got into the diamond shop, and then in the process of bending down to whatever, he farted. He just let out gas, you know, and he was embarrassed. And then, but the sales guy he was, you know, trained sales guy. He was just minding his business, doing something and all that. And so this guy said, excuse me, I need some help over here. So he went to help him. The sales guy went to help him. And then he said, how much is this particular diamond ring? And the sales guy said, you looked at it and you farted. If I tell you the price, I don't know what you're going to. So we drank coffee and it was 75K. So if we ate lunch, only God knew how much that was going to be. All right. So if you want to join the Financial Fitness Challenge, this is actually the last day because we are starting tomorrow. I'm going to be preloading the group tomorrow with the guidance, the worksheets, the assignments, and things like that. So if that is you and you want to join, like I've told you, this is the last. I'm taking a break next month because this particular month makes it 1 full year that I've been coming online every day. We started on Facebook Live and then came to YouTube Live. So I deserve a month off. And that's what's going to happen next month. So no Financial Fitness next month. There might be another one, maybe late September or in October. So take advantage. There's a whole lot of things going on in the markets these days. Have you been seeing what's going on in the stock market? This is crazy. And so don't miss this part, because if you miss it and then you are saying you are going to join in October, I don't know how many millions that's going to cost you. So send a WhatsApp message. All you need to say is send me payment details. That's all. Not too much story. Send me payment details. Send it to +234 8088 000 111, and then you're going to receive the instruction to join. And this is where we're going to draw the curtain tonight. If you miss the number, it's in the description of this video. So just go to the description and then you can catch it. So let me read a few things that I have here. And if you also had an aha moment, or you recognize any of those places I talked about in my story, let me also know about it. So I read a couple of them and we will draw the curtain tonight. Yes, Ayola Ogunwari, internet is not option. It's not optional, it is oxygen. Absolutely. Yeah, Emmanuel says digitize yourself fast. Yeah. Ayo says get online or be left behind. Absolutely. Gladys, okay, said thank you. All right. My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. And then Ayo says, I benefited from the stocks trading you taught us. Oh, yeah. Oh, people are making millions. You know, those penny stocks that I recommended. Told you to buy Qtix. Qtix was 2 naira 40 kobo when I recommended that. Today, Qtix was trading for like 4 naira 60 or something. Like it's almost doubled what it is. People are making money. And then people are telling me about it. Yeah, Victoria says people don't pay for your age, they pay for your value. Absolutely. Deolu says, when is it starting? It's starting tomorrow. The cohort is starting tomorrow. The way it's structured is not a daily. There are just 3 Zoom sessions, but you have materials that you learn with at your pace, and then you have worksheets. Then, of course, most importantly, you have a community where you discuss with. So you can join tomorrow. Oh, Adeboyega said, Maria, hello, Maria says, I have made back the money I paid for your mentorship from the stocks you recommended. Absolutely fantastic. Good for you. Thank you for that. All right. Yep. Stock market is booming. Absolutely. Absolutely. Chidema says, 50 is not your full stop, but your second chapter. Absolutely. I love that. What can you teach about crypto? In fact, I think that I would do some crypto class, because what I'm doing right now, I paid someone to teach me crypto. Like I told you people, the easiest way to move forward in your life, call somebody who is doing or who is succeeding genuinely. And many times they're not the people you see on social media showing you their cars. Like this guy doesn't have big cars, but this guy that's teaching me crypto, he is rich. And he's done it for 10 years. He's built massive complexes from it. Simple guy. And this guy is a teacher. He's still teaching. He's still teaching in second. So he doesn't come to social media showing you mansions and cars and things like that. So find people like that. Call them. Please, how much is a session? Like he told me, this guy charges $1,000. I paid him. So what he did was just remove the fluffs, all the fluffs, and all. Then I saw why people fall for crypto scams. Because spending that time, just one session with him, one session, and I'm already on my own, and I'm seeing things. So for me, before I teach, I want to see it. I want to go through it so that when I teach, if you listen to me, you find that what I teach is usually very practical. It's very practical because it is what I'm doing, it's what I've done. So I don't want to start talking about crypto yet. Let me give it a couple of months. I'm practicing a lot of things. I'm also discovering lots of things. Like I have discovered a tool. He didn't teach me that one, but I have discovered a tool where I can analyze crypto. I can find all the information about coins, about the ones that are just fake coins and about the ones that are actually tied to serious portfolios and businesses. So that will come later, not right now. Okay, Augustine, thank you, coach. You're the best. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Tonya says, how much is the cost? I guess you're talking about the cost of the Financial Fitness Challenge. It is $125, but if you pay after this, it's going to be $105. And then if you are in Nigeria or anywhere in Africa and you have access to Naira, it is 125,000 Naira. Or if you pay after this, 105,000 Naira. Absolutely. RT Root says, I just joined. I like your content. I'm hitting 40 and low-key getting scared that I don't have enough for retirement in the future. No, don't worry. Don't worry at all, RT. You're gonna be okay. So the problem that we've had, you and I have had, because I had exactly the same problem at 40, my mid-40s, at 50. I was where you are right now, even at 50, just 9 years ago. But as I started getting more educated on finances, on personal finance, I found that the fear, see, when ignorance leaves and when you have clarity, fear also disappears. So you are afraid of the future, you're afraid of retirement because there is still a veil covering your face. But the more you learn, like I have so much stuff in my YouTube channel, the more you learn and the more you engage and the more you practice, you see that this veil leaves your eyes, the veil of ignorance about money. Because I tell you, many things that we're taught about money in school are wrong. But when these things begin to, you start getting confident. So don't worry about that. You're going to be okay. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's been such a wonderful pleasure. Whatever happens, keep showing up because you have no idea what's coming your way next. And I'll see you exactly the same time tomorrow. And before you go, if you haven't hit the like button, please do that. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do that. And I'm going to see you same time tomorrow. Good night and God bless you.